Hi there, my name is Christian Eschbach, and welcome to another one of my album reviews. And I am going to be doing all this bashing on these other bands, or covering a lot of negative stuff, or saying a lot of stuff about how I'm not into a lot of the stuff I've been reviewing lately. Well, now I'm going to get into a band that I love, my third favorite band, okay? You got Alice Cooper, then Black Sabbath, then Metallica. What a shocker. So, couldn't help myself. Alright, not everything Metallica releases is beautiful. Not everything Metallica releases is great. Not everything that Metallica releases is what I want to listen to. You've already read what album I'm covering, but I like to do a build-up here, so... I am talking about the Black Album. Now, this is the album that basically got most people into Metallica. Okay, let's be honest. This was the album that led to my big introduction to Metallica. Believe it or not, the very first Metallica anything I ever owned album-wise was actually Live Shit Binge and Purge. That was the very first Metallica anything I owned. Second thing I owned was this and Justice, which I bought both of them at the same time. And guess what? They are the two albums I listened to the least. For two different reasons. And this is not a Justice review, so I'm going to talk about the Black Album. But there's a real reason why I'm covering the Black Album. And that's because that's the next review right there. Sneak peek, baby. Alright, so, the Black Album. Most of my dislike for the Black Album actually comes from Overplayed. In a lot of cases. Not in all cases, but in a lot of cases, it comes from Overplay. Like Enter Sandman, for example, is really a top-notch killer tune. I mean, it is a fantastic tune. And when it came out, man, I love it. And as a drummer, man, that opening... You know, that is awesome, okay? I totally... You know, and I've seen them do it live. It is fantastic live. Saw them on what later became the Cunning Stunts tour, or video. Obviously, I saw them in Detroit. That was a different location. And watching them blow up the set while playing the song is awesome. Okay, you can't go wrong with it. It's awesome. It's beautiful. But it's overplayed to hell. When it comes on the radio, I go find something else. Honestly. You know, that's just where I'm at now. And so I don't start listening to the Black Album here either. Alright. Then we get to Sad But True. Sad But True. I don't know why the song is as huge as it is, why it got as big as it is, everything else. It is the one song on this album I never cared for. From day one, I never thought it was that good of a song. I always thought it was one of the lesser songs on the album. And I know there's people who are going to totally disagree with me on this, okay? You know, because there's a reason why it is popular. But I really do think that the radio single play of the song is what made this song so popular. I really... And, you know, they always say, you know, like Bob, what was it, on the video, Bob Rock was saying that it was like their Kashmir. It's not their Kashmir. Not even close to their Kashmir. They had already done their Kashmir at this point, which was the thing that should not be. You know, as far as I'm concerned, you know. Anyways. Then we get to Holier Than Thou. I always thought Holier Than Thou was kind of a toss-away song. You know, it was a good track in the playlist. Like, when you're listening to the album... I don't know. You know what? I don't want to call it a throwaway song. That's wrong. It is a Metallica album filler song. And a Metallica album filler song is still better than the best throwaway songs from some bands, okay? So, a Metallica filler song is better than the best songs from some bands. Okay, so, yeah, we'll just go with that. Holier Than Thou, it's not a bad tune. Not a bad tune. Just not a tune that I ever really was, huge on. That's all. Now, we get to the first song on the album that I still to this day truly enjoy. Yes, also suffer from overplay, but The overplay I suffered from this was the music video. The music video is just astounding, and I am talking about the Unforgiven. To this day, it is still one of my... I like the Unforgiven trilogy as a whole, and I do like listening to the trilogy back to back to back, okay? And as the trilogy was never meant to be, it just ended up that way. It's fantastic. I dig the Unforgiven. Now, it's not of the Unforgiven trilogy. It's actually not my favorite. I want to say 2 is my favorite still, but I'm not 100% certain, and I have to go back and re-listen to 3 just to double check. But The Unforgiven is a great song. I've always loved the song. I've always had an immense enjoyment for this song. Sure, it's depressing and downtrodden and whatnot, but it's okay. I'm okay with that. That's cool. You know, it's not like exactly this is a happy album. You know what I'm saying? Then we get to Wherever I May Roam. Not a bad tune. I actually prefer the S&M versions. I love it so much more with the full classical orchestration behind it. On here, it's cool, though. You know, you see them do it live. It's cool. You know, it's a good tune. It's a solid tune. But this was a great blueprint. S&M was what it was meant to be. Then we get to Don't Tread on Me. Okay, so history and present day mar this album with having the song Don't Tread on Me and then the actual Don't Tread on Me snake hidden down here, which you can't see very well. Okay. That has come to mean something a lot more negative nowadays than it meant at the time when this song was done. I personally like the song. I still like the song. I still dig the essence kind of the song. I'm not saying that this is a great song. I'm not saying that this is, you know, a song that was overlooked or underplayed. In the day when this album came out, I definitely felt that it was underplayed. I definitely felt it should have been played more than Sad But True was, because it had more of a hook to it. It had more of a catch to it. Like, Sad But True wasn't bad, but Don't Tread on Me almost was kind of the happiest song on the album. I don't like to use that term, but yeah, it would be, you know, just something about it felt good and uplifting. And I felt it should have gotten more airplay than it did for that reason. After that, we get to Through the Never. Song that I think is better live than on the album. Good song on the album. I do enjoy it. Now, I do want to point out, now, here, when you look at the first six verses the back six, I always have sided heavier with the back six, with the exception of one song. For me, maybe 2 songs. No, one song. If you switched Unforgiven out with the ballad on the second half is where it would entirely be for me nowadays. Now, the reason why I mention this is when I said Don't Tread on Me, I definitely enjoyed it a lot. I still enjoy it a lot now, actually. I enjoy it a lot more, I think, as a teenager than I do now. But at the same time, there's a certain part of it now, just the music part of it. And the chorus. It's that chorus, man, I really digs. Now, I could argue that I might switch Don't Tread on Me and Through the Never. But, once again, Through the Never, it just kind of... This is a decent tune. This is a solid tune. I just think it's better live, you know? And not... You know, just that when you get the crowd in it and chanting and the energy and the power and everything like that, much better live than it is on the studio track. The studio track's cool, but Nothing Else Matters follows that up. I fucking hate Nothing Else Matters. And that's not even a matter of overplay. I've always disliked Nothing Else Matters. I the instrumentation's not too bad. This is a song that I've heard other bands do it since. And they really use this as a blueprint and kind of go somewhere else with it, which is cool. Nothing Else Matters. It really just no. You can't defend the song. I'm sorry. Your only defense for defending Nothing Else Matters is it was a popular song because it got radio play. And the only reason it was a popular song and got radio play is because it was one of the few songs that all the girls got behind. Okay. Not just the cool metalhead chicks. I'm talking all the girls that had so much range because it was so soft and so tender and that shit. Okay? No. And I will come back to this when I get into that damn, when I get into this. Ooh. Okay. I appreciate James being tender. I appreciate James being sensitive. That's cool. Not here. I will take Mama Said or Low Man's Lyric over Nothing Else Matters any day of the week. I think those songs are the tender spot. Mama Said is James's most heartfelt tenderness ever. Ever. I will stand by that to the bitter end, and I like that tune, man. I do not like Nothing Else Matters, okay? So let's be very clear. No. Just no. All right. After that, we pick right back up into the cool shit. We got Of Wolf and Man. Oh, I have always liked Of Wolf and Man. I still to this day love Of Wolf and Man. It is probably not my favorite song off here, but it's in the top 3 of my favorite off of here. I'll get to that at the very end. Of Wolf and Man is just... I love the energy. I love the vibe. I love the momentum. I love the galloping pace behind it. There's just... beautiful tune. Beautiful tune. Then you get into The God That Failed. Cool tune. I enjoy The God That Failed. I think it's wonderful tune. I dig it. I love just something about it. Dark. There's a darkness, an extreme darkness to it, but a darkness that is so appreciative. Then you get into one of the coolest bass riffs Metallica has ever released. That is not, just bass. That's not, depending on how you feel, at least of the Newsted era, man. Jason Newsted, he said it himself. I've got an article in Bass Guitar Magazine where he said it himself. His bass riffs either came out always sounding like Black Sabbath or something in the vein of My Friend in Misery. I understand that pain. You kind of get into this pocket where you just, you go with what you like to play with in your comfort. And myself as a bassist, My Friend in Misery is not a song I've ever really tried to learn how to play on bass. I'll be very clear. But there's elements and parts of it I've looked at and read and, I've used in my own little techniques to learn how to play certain ways and stuff like that. And it's easy to get locked in that pocket because of the melody kind of to it. But My Friend in Misery is a fantastic song, man. Just beautiful. And the production on it is top notch. It's one of the things that really lends to it. I hate to say it, My Friend in Misery is definitely one of those songs that I know they've played it live, and I've heard Rob Trujillo do it, and he does a fantastic job of it, and I am not going to knock it. But My Friend in Misery that's Newsted's baby. And even when I've gotten, even when you get to hear him play bits and pieces of it live as part of his bass solo and stuff like that, it was cool. But I don't think they could ever replicate it properly live like they do on the album. And I definitely think for that reason, it's purely stuck as an album track in a manner of speaking. But, great tune. And then the album finishes with The Struggle Within, which I feel like they put it on at the end of the album because they had to put it somewhere. The Struggle Within is the only song on this entire album that really feels like it didn't need to be there per se. I like it. I think it's a great song. Musically, I like how it's different from a lot of the rest of the album. I like how they actually play with it a little bit. The Struggle Within almost feels like it was a leftover from the Justice era, and they didn't want to leave it again, so it got put into here. I don't feel it closes out the album well. I think really the best way to close out this album, honestly, I probably would have closed the album out with Enter Sandman. They had lots of songs that could start this album and kick it off just right. Okay? I mean, as much as I don't like Sabatru could have kicked off the album perfectly. Okay? Wherever I May Roam would have set the tempo a little weird to kick off the album, but it could have kicked off the album perfectly. Don't Tread on Me probably could have kicked off the album. I don't think I would have wanted to set the tone with Don't Tread on Me kicking off the album. Through the Never could have done it, and Of Wolf and Man could have. Honestly, all of those songs could have kicked off this album. None of them could have closed the album, though, except for Enter Sandman. Enter Sandman is truly the only song I think could have closed this album out properly. I think what they chose to do is they chose to do the classic bury the weakest song at the end of the album, thinking that most people aren't going to get that far, okay? Because after A Wolf and Man, the album does take quite a dark turn and dark twist. So when you get to, by the time most people would, I know of, a lot of people I know, because a lot of people I know that have this album includes women, this album usually ended at Nothing Else Matters, flip over the tape and rewind or start the CD over again. That's how most of the people I knew did it. The guys most would go up to A Wolf and Man. The God That Failed hit with musicians, but never really hit with your average listener that I was around. My Friend Misery meant you had to get through The God That Failed first. And this is where you could tell who were the fans of the album versus who were who just picked up the album because of it being, all the popular songs. Struggle Within, those who really dug Struggle Within or got into Struggle Within, I don't know anybody. I don't know anybody that was truly into Struggle Within. It's not a bad song. It's just, like I said, out of all the songs on this album, it was kind of the weakest. To me, what they should have done is put Struggle Within, like, where Sad But True is in the listing, honestly. It should have been like the second track. You put in a killer front track, you do Struggle Within, and then you ride out the rest of the album with killer stuff. That would have been me. But, what do I know? I didn't release the Black Album. But if you ever go back and watch, there was actually a lot of debate over what the first single should be and what the lead track on the album should be. And I don't remember what it was that Lars had said, but I remember it wasn't Enter Sandman. Anyways, I think. I could be wrong. It's been a while since I've watched a year and a half. Those are my thoughts and views on the Black Album. Okay? Now, keep all this in mind, and you have to watch this first before you go and watch when I do the review of this next. Because everything I say about this plays really, really heavily into this. Okay? Alright. Until this time. Leave me your comments. Let me know what you think. I should say, sorry, hold on. Let me give you a little more of a wrap-up. If you are just discovering Metallica, the Black Album is probably the wrong album for you to discover and get into Metallica with. And the reason why I say this is the Black Album is a departure from that which made Metallica the most popular, or the original departure from that. There's other stuff that Metallica's released since, but that's like, really often different. The 90s for Metallica were definitely a different time period. The Bob Rock years, we'll say. But if you've heard the odd newer track, the Black Album's not a good spot to go pick up as your first album. Really, go back to the originals. Start as far as I'm concerned, when it comes to Metallica, always start at the beginning, man. Always start at the beginning. Start with Kill 'Em All, then you move on to Ride the Lightning, then you move on to Master of Puppets, then you move on to Justice, then you get the Black Album. I did it totally out of whack. I started with Live, Shit, Binge, and Purge. Then I went to the Black Album. Then I went Black Album and Justice at the same time. And then from there, I got into the back albums. And then, by the time Load came out, I was caught up, because I got Live, Shit, Binge, and Purge when it first came out. It was a birthday present, actually, when it first came out. Anyways, that's how I feel you should explore and get into Metallica. But that's me. Comments, once again. Let me know what you think. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Peace, love, take care.